Hello, everyone. Just gotta wait for a couple people to come in. Hope everyone had a great day. Oh well, that noise in the background. Hello, Merle. How are you doing today? You hear me, Merle? Hello. Can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me? Testing. Let's go to my phone and give someone a call to see if they can hear me. Merle, I'm giving you a call if you can hear me. Hello. Please put a one. Oh, yes, you can hear me? Good, good, good. All right. I'm so glad that you're here. I just want to remind people, as it says in the Bible, in Luke 17, verse 2, it were better for him that a millstone be hanged around his neck and he cast into the sea than that he should offend one of these little ones. It's always easy to remember, and go ahead and get that off the screen so it doesn't take too much of the room. So, how are you doing today, Merle? Welcome. Well, we're waiting for a couple people to come in. I'm going to go ahead and there's some background noise here because of somebody moving the trash cans outside, and I'm going to.
Empty promises, believing all your lies, wanting me to sympathize with your lies, with your lies. I'm hoping to be loved, I'm hoping for romance. Needed to be held and give a love a chance. Well, I wanted to be caressed, but with your empty promises, you crushed my love. You crushed my love. Thought that you were really smart. Oh, how you ripped my heart apart. Needing you so much, believing you love me so. You promised to be mine. How could I have been so blind? So blind. I was promised loyalty, but I'm alone again. You promised you would love me to set my soul free. If our love was true, how could you break my heart in two? I was such a fool because I trusted you, pushed my love. You pushed my love. Thought that you were really smart. Oh, how you ripped my heart apart. Needing you so much, believing you love me so. You promised to be mine. How could I have been so blind? So blind. I was promised loyalty, but I'm alone again.
Hello. Okay, I'm back. All right. I just wanted to share that. That is a song that I wrote years ago. An ex-boyfriend cheated on me and actually moved another lady in with us. So basically, I wrote that song based on him. But we could say that when we were born, it's almost like an empty promise to God when we mistreat our children. But there are other people in this world that don't know how to respect a child, respect others. But tonight, the reason why I decided on this is going to be the title of my next book. So there's people that wanted to know more into my life. So I decided, well, I'm going to start off with a simple one, my birth mom. And then I could go from there, and another night I could go along with my dad and with my mom, and then my dad with my stepmom. All right. So then it would be easier to not get the two women confused. Mother, the supposed woman who birthed me. Mother, who insisted I call her mother instead of mom. No matter how many times she told me to call her mother, I couldn't. I titled this after her since that is what this is about. Getting the story out, the pain, the sorrow, the devastation, and rising above at the end. It still hurts today. I refuse to lie about it. I will not sugarcoat it. I have a stepmom as well, but this is not in any way her doings. This specific, excuse me, I'm getting tongue tied here. Specific time in my life, she was nowhere around. That's what I mean by this is no way in her any of her doings. There might be clips where I mentioned her because she was there during some of my story. I won't be sharing the pain my stepmom doled out at this time. I'm sharing my story for courage, faith, and for hope. I disowned some of my siblings since they reprimanded me, since I refused to look at my parents as heroes. Well, starting off, a lot of my memories as a little bitty girl, I didn't remember much, except for the earliest memory I had was I fell out of a bunk bed when I was 7 years old. But then we have to go beyond that, and I had to go to a point in time to when I had to go to therapy and figure out what the problem was. When was the earlier times that these certain sexual behaviors had began? When was the first time that I feel like I was sexually abused? Then all of a sudden, when a therapist had asked me that, I had to go back and pinpoint that it was this time. But to give a little rough draft, my mother came from Germany. My dad had met her at a bar. She already had other children through different fathers. That's just the way she was. She had children just to try to tell a guy they were the dad and then just to sell them to him and say, adopt them, whatever, to use them kind of like almost like you would say, like a black market type of thing. Well, she had a sister who the guy never tested, but he tested my brother and it found out that my brother was not his either, even though, both of them's got his last name. And he really loved my mom. And so when you come into a good person, you really need to stick with them. Hello, everyone that's here. I hope you're doing great. So, as I was told from a sibling that my, my mother's grandparents had adopted them, had paid my mom for them. So, when she was to come from Germany, she was only to bring a daughter that she had with my dad, but instead, my dad brought them over too, who they didn't even have any legal rights to since the grandparents had custody. Years later, when I was talking to different people, I had talked to a great aunt of mine, and I knew that she had rental property that we had used when I came out of the hospital, so she knew a great deal and could fill in some blocks to where I did not know. She would she even told me simple things like, when you got out of the hospital, you got out of the hospital before your mom and before your twin sister, and said that your daddy abandoned you. And then she said she ended up taking care of me, but daddy would come back a week later. My daddy was a bad drunk. He was still in the military. And then my mom and my twin sister got out of the hospital. I heard it was about 2 weeks after we were born. And a lot of this don't make sense to me because usually they would keep all both babies in the hospital. If one baby had to stay and the mama had to stay and all that other stuff. But a lot of it just don't make sense to me, y'all. I'm sorry. Um, so knowing this, and then a sister had told me that then after mom and my sister got home from the hospital, put in mind there's not only me and my twin sister and the two kids from Germany and that older sister from Germany, there's another boy. So there was other infants, okay, but twins, a 1 year old, a 2 year old, maybe a 5 or 6 year old, and a 7 year old. And my sister and brother, that was 6 and 7 year old, of course, they were not allowed to use the stove or cook or anything. But I was told that they needed to go to school, but the parents were nowhere around, and they were responsible enough to not abandon us, infants and 1 and 2 year old, at home. So they skipped school just to take care of us. I had heard from other cousins who were neighbors as well and said that, man, because back then they didn't have regular diapers like they do, like the Pampers. They had the cloth diapers. So can you imagine having to change that many babies? That had to be hard and stressful. But my cousin had told me that he was over there some of the time, and he said, "Soon as I cleaned one of you up, another of y'all had to be cleaned up. By the time that we get the house cleaned up and then all that, right?" So then, whenever I started, and I started remembering about the first time about the sexual thing, when he had asked me, that therapist, and then all of a sudden that came straight to my mind. My mother, dear mother, I survived. My mother put my naked body on the kitchen table, told me I better lay there because the guy gave them money to do whatever this was to me. And I remember my reaction of just doing it. And so it's like I was already conditioned. I was already groomed to lay there. I knew I better not move. I knew I better do exactly what was told. My daddy was right beside his army buddy. That's who the guy was. And they opened the beer bottle on the side of the table. I can remember that. And then he came and got in between my legs, and my daddy stood behind him while the guy used the beer bottle, and my mom stood at the head where my head area was at the table and watched when this happened. And she was instructing me, "You better not cry. You better not scream. You better not fight. He gave us money to do this. You better lay still." I asked my therapist, I said, "Well, how can I remember something that's at 2 years old?" She said, "Well, the brain's a funny thing." Says, when something traumatic happens, it puts a stamp there, a little memory there somewhere, a little memory pocket there. And that was devastating enough for me that it put that stamp there. And the next thing I know, I don't remember the finishing, the continuation of it, or whatever. I just remember the fact of being in a bathtub, and the bathtub's half filled with water. And here I am, 2 years old. And I was thinking, with the water current, being 2 year old in a half filled up bathtub of water, I was afraid to even move because any little bit I just moved my arm or something, it seemed like I was losing my balance just the slightest. I'm like, so they want me to drown in the tub? But the main thing that I remember besides that, so I knew I had to sit there still, okay? And it was them old ceramic tubs. And the main thing I remember is the water being blood red. And I was like, why is the water red? Of course, when you're 2 year old, you don't understand the concept of bleeding or being hurt. You're right there wondering what's going on. You're dissociated so much. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's so surreal. So the next thing I remember is how my mother would take me dressed up to a restaurant. "Hello, please come on in and say hello. Appreciate you coming." And I thought it was so special that my mother was taking me to a restaurant. I was thinking, oh, so cool. It's going to be mommy daughter. My mom's going to treat me so good. My mother loves me. Yes. I was thinking that. And it's going to be so cool. My mama finally going to spend some one-on-one time with me. We get to a restaurant, and I was thinking, oh, goody, goody. I'm going to get something good to eat here at the restaurant. I ain't got to starve. I ain't got to eat the raw oatmeal that I had to eat while they had abandoned me. So we sat down and I looked up at mom, of course, being 2 year old. There wasn't much I could say, and I did say, I'm hungry. She said, well, you cannot have anything to eat. She said, we're not here for that. And I was thinking, what are we here at a restaurant for if we're not here to eat? I was thinking that in my little kid mind, you know? And that makes common sense even thinking that as an adult. Next thing I know, this lady come up, waitress, said, would y'all like something to drink? And she said, just give her water, but I'll take coffee. I was thinking, oh, how my tummy's hurting so bad. Hello there. Glad to see you. Thank you. Thanks for coming. So there I was a little devastated because she's getting something on her stomach and not taking care of me, and here I am, 2 years old. And then this guy walks up and he says, you're cute. You're such a cute little girl. My mother says, you want to buy her? I looked at my mother like, what? I just thought that was like a joke, type of thing. Some guys walked away and they laughed, but some guys said yes. And my mother said, okay, you just take her with you and just bring her back alive. That's all we care about. Just bring her back alive. You can do anything you want to with her. Just give me the money. And that's what happened. So there were a couple times, don't get me wrong, there was a couple of good guys that actually bought me, who actually took me to go play with their daughters. That was the happiest times, when somebody actually took care of me and made sure that I didn't go to one of these sex offenders or whatever. And I got a feeling that they tried hard to try to stop what was going on, but the police and stuff would do nothing. So they did the best they could to try to get me away from that situation for a little while. And I thank them for that. I still remember how the little girl looked too that I was playing with. It's ironic how much our little minds remember when it's really impressioned on our mind, when it's really impressed there. So to get matters on, then when I was 4 year old, mom had abandoned four of us. Let's see, five of us at a grocery store. But then I had another brother. Um, he was born when I was two, and two oldest that were from Germany, they were now in an orphanage. The reason the girl, and well, it's not really her story, but a little bit of rundown of my dad, knowing that my dad had messed with her as well. And mom had walked into the bedroom with dad raping her, and my mom ended up beating her up, then put my daddy in jail, and then going back to the jail and getting him out of jail. My sister said she locked the door to protect us, and then he was shooting in the windows, trying to shoot us. And I said that me, Darlene, I did not know as a 2 year old to duck down and get to safety when when those shotgun shells and the glass and the splintered wood and everything was going everywhere. I didn't know what to do. I was just dumbfounded, just watching the action, so to speak. She said she had to tackle me and she had to get on my body and protect me from all that, the shards of glass. Although she got stuck with some of the shards of glass and stuff. But you know what? My daddy was never arrested for none of that. He got away with all that, y'all. And you know, cops and stuff had to know about it. So anyway, I was living with my mom at this time, like I said, and then she put she sold my sister that was from Germany, and well, she sold them to a police officer, by the way, y'all. And the police officer supposed to kept her until she became of age to marry. But my sister did not want this, so my sister would run away. And so my mom stuck her in an orphanage. And then she kept her in there a couple of weeks, and then she would get her back out. Then she would say, "Okay, you learned your lesson yet?" And she took them back over there to the police officer's house. And then my sister ran away again. So this time, my mom decided to keep her in the orphanage, and she had to age out in that orphanage. My other brother that was in an orphanage, I don't know how long he was in there. I think they got him out just so that he could be kind of like a slave to help take care of all the kids. Then my mom ended up, while my sister was in an orphanage, and she abandoned the five of us kids at a grocery store. And according to my aunt, she did it pretty frequently. But by this time, she said I was 4 years old, and my sister was 6 years old, had a brother 5 years old, had my twin sister, of course, 4 year old. Then I had a brother that was two. And luckily, my sister knew my aunt's phone number, and my aunt would come and get us. And then there was a big fight about once mom came back after us a week later. Um, my aunt got tired of going to pick us up at the grocery stores after being abandoned and all the different stuff that was going on. So I think my aunt had the gun and my mother had the knife. And mother was going to try to get us with the knife, and my aunt said over my dead body. I can remember that. And so she refused to let my mother have us, and so henceforth they had a divorce. So the next time I ended up seeing mother again was I was 7 years old, and her and a new stepfather came and picked us up, and we went to the Benny Carl show, and that was a good experience, y'all. I made the talk of the show because they would give us each our own individual Coca-Colas or RC Colas. And when Benny Carl came to me to get the bottle away, I wasn't done drinking my drink, and I stuck the bottle as down deep in my mouth as I could get it without strangling myself. And I'm like, I wasn't going to give him that bottle till I was completely done with it. This was my gift. So that was a good experience right there that happened. Then later on, I seen her again when she came and got us and took us to the fair. But I was afraid of her. I was terrified of her. I didn't understand the why I was so terrified when my dad and my stepmom would take me to where they had to meet her and I had to go spend time with them. My other siblings did too. But I would hang on to my stepmother, like, please don't make me go. Please, please don't make me go. Please, please. I was begging them. I was hanging on, back then we didn't have cars that had the dividers. It was full seats in the front seats. We didn't have to wear seat belts back then either. But I would not turn loose of my stepmom. She was like, "Can you turn loose of me?" And I was too afraid. I was petrified, y'all. Oh man, no matter how bad my stepmom treated me or whatever, at them times right there, I could latch onto her and seem like there was some compassion towards her. towards me at those times. And I was like, please don't make me go. Please don't make me. Please don't make me go. Please, Mom, don't make me go. And I begged and I pleaded, but no matter what. So when I was 11 years old, we had to go to Florida for a while, so I had to live with her for a couple years. So while I lived with her, there was five of us kids and two adults staying in a two-bedroom shack right beside some railroad tracks. And my stepdad was also on probation still for 26 years. And he had told us, we don't I don't know how true this is, but he said he was on probation for murder. I don't know whether he was or not, or whether that was a scare tactic or whatever, but that was what he told us. And she had a job at Monkey Wards, as she called it, Montgomery Wards. And she said if we wanted to eat, we better work ourselves. And here I was at this time 11, and I got a job planting tobacco. I ended up with pneumonia because I did not know that I was allergic to tobacco. So, of course, I had to go to the doctor, get tended to, and all that. But after I got well, she said, well, if you want to eat, like I said, you better go work for it. And I tried to go like junior food stores, different little places, tried different little spots, all for another job because um, I lost the other job planting tobacco because I did not show up for work while I had pneumonia. So anyway, and my twin sister did not tell them I was sick, so they couldn't rely on me because nobody gave them any info on why I wasn't at work. But anyway, my mom said, "Well, I taught you how to prostitute yourself. Get out there and sell your body. You want to eat? Get out there and sell your body." So I was shocked. I refused to do that. Y'all, I walked all over town. Anytime I knew my mom was at home, I walked all over town just trying to avoid her like the plague. A lot of my siblings were going different places and spending out different places, and she didn't care where anybody was. She didn't look for anybody. Some of my siblings were missing 3 or 4 days, and I never seen them or knew where they were. And she didn't care where we were. She didn't care about us. So by this time, whenever she wasn't at home and she had left the door unlocked, I snuck in the house and I would eat things like mayonnaise, ketchup, salt, and pepper sandwiches, and that's what I survived on. I hurried up and did the dishes so I wouldn't leave any time that I had eaten any of her food. Lord have mercy, and hurry up and get out of the house before she got home. And then when I seen that their lights went off in the house at night, I would climb into the back seat of the car and I slept in the back seat of the car. I did not go to a friend's house or anything and ask them to please give me food, please give me somewhere to sleep or something like that. I felt like I wasn't going to beg like that. And I wasn't going to demean myself and sell myself like my mother wanted me to. And so, like I said, we had some railroad tracks beside our house. So on the school one day, the train had stopped, and so I was afraid to go up underneath it. I was thinking it would be dangerous, but I was going to be late for school, so I had a 2 mile walk. I went ahead and went up underneath the train, and I said, "Cool, I made it! I made it!" So I said, "Wow, that was fun. That was invigorating." I made it to school and every day. With that afternoon, I started playing hopscotch and drew it out in the sand. This was in Florida, y'all. Y'all know how a lot of sand's in Florida anyway. But I would draw out the hopscotch and start throw a rock out there and start playing myself. There was another train that stopped, and I watched. as it was stopping, how the wheels were going, the rhythm of it. So I decided to start playing a deadly game. I thought, well, if it kills me, it kills me. Hopefully it will kill me. Hopefully it will take me out of this world. Hopefully it will just help me get out of this because I'm tired of starving. I'm tired of not having nobody to love me. I'm tired of her telling me that I have to, if I want to eat or whatever, I need to go prostitute myself out, which I refuse to do. So I decided to play this dangerous game. The train had stopped completely. All of a sudden, I heard it crank up. So I said, I wonder how many times I can go from this side of the tracks to the other side before it starts going too fast. Go back and forth, back and forth. And that was very dangerous, y'all. That was a stupid game. I did not care about myself. Well, I thought I didn't care about myself, y'all. I really thought I didn't. But then when my shoe got stuck in between the rail and the wooden flat at the road, I was scared and petrified for my life. And that's when I decided, yes, I care. I want to live. I want to live. Then after that, I didn't try that no more. I was forbade to go to friends' houses. I was told that they told me that I was such a bother. They didn't want to see me. They didn't want to see somebody ugly as me out. They don't want you to go to their church. They don't want you around. So I basically was kind of like a hermit type of thing, but walking around town, but afraid to make friends and such. But there was this old lady that on occasion I went to go see if she needed any help, and I, I did not want any food. I did not want anything to drink or nothing. And then my mother figured out that I went over there, and so then, oh, I've told you, nobody wants you at their house. Don't go back over there. They're tired of you. Boy, and finally I started bothering them till they let me go back home to my abuser dad. Yes, he did some sexual things to me and stuff, but I had a roof over my head when I was with my dad. I had clothes, that I could wear that fit me. I had somebody that cared whether or not I was in bed, sleeping in the room, in the house. And so I bothered them until I got to go back and live with my dad. Well, around 2000, I did go back and see her a couple times. Like after I had my first son, I went and showed off my grandson. Tried to my son, let bygones be bygones, try to grit my teeth, try to be a family. But of course, I would never leave my son with her. So then, around 2001, 2002, 2003, I gave her a phone call and I said, "Hi, Mom, how you doing?" Because I was doubting a lot of these memories of the sexual things that was playing in my mind as a little bitty girl about her selling me and stuff. I was doubting those memories. And she goes, when I said, "Hi, Mom," she said, "Are you showing your naked body to men or prostituting yourself out?" I said, "No, Mom. I'm adult now. I've got a choice." She said, "Well, you were born to be a prostitute. You were born to show your naked body to men." I said, "Mom, I'm an adult now. I've got a choice." She said, "Like I said, you were born to do that." And I repeated myself again. And then she said, "I wish I would have killed you when you were a baby, like I wanted to." And when she said those words, I hung up the phone and never, ever talked to Mother ever again. So it took a lot of healing and prayer and everything for me to have the courage enough to forgive. And by forgiving, I don't mean forgiving of everything she done. I mean forgiving and not forgetting, basically. My sister said I should forgive and forget. My sister's, I disowned her because she said that I should look at my mom as a hero, and I'm not going to look at her as a hero. You know, somebody that don't take care of their own kids, somebody that tries to sell their kids. And a brother says, well, you know, look at her because she lived through the times of Hitler. I said, well, that's no excuse. That is no excuse for what all she was doing. So that's basically what it is about mother. And she had died, um, I guess about 12 years ago. If that, I can't, I would have to go back to my paperwork and look. I don't even keep up with the when she actually died, but I'm just I tell you what, when she died, I went to Facebook and I asked people for prayer. I said, y'all, please help me because I'm having so many mixed emotions between, you know, I never really wanted her to die. I just had wanted a mom, I guess, and it just I kept losing my balance and falling. I had a mini stroke right then and there. And when I asked for prayers because of all the abuse from what she had done to me, my brother was threatening everybody on my Facebook profile and threatening that he was going to come and kill them or beat their butts or anything. How dare you speak badly of my mom? She's dead. She never was an abuser, he said. But yes, she was. Anybody that sells their children is an abuser. Anybody that neglects their child is an abuser. Anybody who don't feed their child, love their child. I can remember my first Christmas back when we moved back with her, y'all. It was so sad. She gave me a little thing of bubble bath, but that's okay. That's not no crying matter about, you know. But she gave me this little bitty tiny doll that you put on a little counter or like a knick-knack doll. And it had dark hair and it had tears all over its eyes. Hello. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you're here. And she said, the reason why I gave you this doll is because it's ugly, just like you. Y'all think y'all would have liked a gift like that? Be told I gave you this ugly doll because it looked just like you? Who would who wouldn't want to have the tears in their eyes when they were violated and sold to men since they were 2 years old and you were told to be quiet and to lay there and you better not squirm. You better just be there and let that guy do what he wants to with you. Excuse me? And then to remember being put in that bathtub. Thank you so much. And I can remember different instances, and I think that she was still married to my daddy when my daddy cut me between my legs when I was 4, and I bled very significantly then too. Exactly, and I would not never look at her like she got so mad at me because I refused to call her mother, but I could not call her mother because I felt like somebody special only should be called a mother, and there was nothing special about how she was to me, you know? There was nothing special. I was just a pawn that she could just sell because these sicko men want to buy kids. And then for in 2001, like I said, 2001, 2002, 2003, somewhere in there, when I had called her and gave her that chance, tried to forgive her, tried to put it all behind and was doubting, like I said, the memories. And for her to say, I wish I would have killed you when you were a baby like I wanted to, All because I refused to prostitute myself out in 2001, 2002, 2003 because I wouldn't then either, or share my naked body with men, and I wouldn't do what she had taught me to. I doubted no more of these memories, y'all. I could not doubt them anymore after she said all this, y'all. And for my siblings to outcast me the way they did and say that I should look at her as a hero, that is not a hero in my book, y'all. I had hung up, and no, don't get me wrong, I did try one more time when I knew mother was sick and just basically dementia or something like that. And I decided to give her a call. And I tried, right? But when my sister answered the phone and she said, I'm going to get mom, all of a sudden I got sick. I started puking. I had to hang up. I could not talk to her. I tried. I couldn't do it, y'all. I could not do it. I started vomiting profusely. And people have wronged me and told me that I was wrong for not going ahead and talking to her. Would y'all think that I would be wrong to have not spoke to her to find out what she wanted to say to me, her final words to me? I don't think I would have been wrong because I had no love from her my entire life. But don't get me wrong, there are a couple of things I really admired about the woman. This woman, she had a beautiful singing voice. Even though she sung in German, I loved sitting there hearing her sing. Right. I loved hearing her play the, let's see what, harmonica. She could play it so grand. She could paint. She had a lot of these, like Aunt Jemima log cabin bottles of glass syrup bottles. She could paint the beautiful oil painted pictures on the front of them. And I was like, where's my talent? What do I get from this lady, you know? What do I get from her? The only thing I realized that since I was doing a family tree, if this is actually my mom that I did get from her, well, I can't really say I got that from her. I was forced into what I did, okay? When I had a choice, I did not do it. But her own mother and her grandmother were the same way. I got another sister that after I didn't even know anything about her until it was, I think my kids were like about 8, 9, 10 year old. That mother had another child while she was in Germany, and she had sold him, and I mean sold her, and the guy she had told the guy he was the dad, so he adopted her, paid the money. Yes, I tried to. I tried to be the best person I could be, and it still hurts me today. A lot of stuff. My sons don't really understand really what's been going on. She I had got a text back when it was YouTube, Yahoo Messenger, and hey, I'm your sister. Like what? What? Yeah, your mom had sold me back when I was 18 months old. Then I had to call my oldest sister, and she said, "Yeah, I remember when she was 18 months old, and I didn't see her again because I just seen two arms coming down into the crib and picking her up, and I never seen her again." So Mama told this guy that he was the dad, and she sold him. her to him. Then he did testify, and he found out that he's not the dad. So then he went and put her in an orphanage. So she was adopted, um, and then ended up in Canada from Germany and France area. So that was interesting finding out I had another sibling. And then I had um, another sister told me that mom had another child and her sister could not have a child, so she just ended up giving that child to the sister, which I believe she didn't give her. I believe she probably sold her as well, sold him. And I don't really know him either. So a lot of people ask me how many siblings I've got. I said, really, when you count in between full blooded, halves, steps, all that, when you counted all that many, I said, I stopped counting at about 13. I said, I stopped counting. I says, I don't know how many. I stopped counting. Um, and to know that and y'all get this too, I had even asked my sister, the one that I said that my daddy violated. I asked her, I said, why would daddy do this to me? Why would he cut me between my legs at my private area? Why would he do that? She said, well, I didn't think he would hurt his own kids. She said, but he did come back from Germany and said he had a book that said how to have sex with kids. They actually had books on how to have sex with kids, and my dad had one of them. Oh, what a messed up world, y'all. What a messed up world. It's a lot of my tale of my story. A lot of my stuff is mom's not as much in my life as my dad and my stepmom, and I'll go into my stepmom monster another time. Because that entails about being held down and raped and had a baby and it was murdered. But we're not going to get into that at the moment. But y'all, nothing was ever done to these monsters. But they're all dead now, and the only thing I could do is pray that my heart's always right with God. That I'm not going to be defiled like these people are. I want to have a pure heart. I want to have a kind heart. I want to have a loving heart. I want to help others. I do not want to have hate and animosity. But on the other hand, I don't think I want to be around others if they were to come in here. Like if my siblings came in here and wanted to start trouble, I think I would have a problem with that because I am speaking out and no more lying. Oh, by the way, whenever my sister said that I should look at my daddy as a hero too, and also told my son in the military that my daddy is never messed with us sexually. I'll leave on that note on my daddy. I'll say this that she said he never did mess with us, but he used to ejaculate all over our faces when we were babies. I'm like, what? What? He never did nothing sexual to us, but he would ejaculate on our faces when we were babies. Excuse me. And you know dang well, if it's done right there in front of others, there's a lot more that's going on behind doors that they don't see and know about. And I will not shut up for telling my story because I hope my story will help others. People think that, oh, like, oh, maybe that stopped. Oh, and by the way, another reason why I disowned my sister that said that was not only from her saying this, but she told me that these things that happened to me was God's punishment to me for being a bad girl. That God was along with this. That this was God's discipline to me. So that's why I said goodbye to her out of my life. So anyway, a little bit about the mother and around that situation because I was living with mother at this time when my daddy was doing these things. So I was never protected. I was treated like I was just an object. Um, so to men, I thank God that I came back alive. I thank God that I don't have any kind of venereal disease, even though I've got a lot of internal damage. The doctors have said my kids are true miracles. I shouldn't have been able to have them. I said the only reason why I had my kids was I got on my knees and I prayed to God. I said, God, please let me have a son. And both times that I did that, both times I got pregnant and I had a son. Reason why I asked for a son, y'all, I was so naive. I was so naive, y'all. Please forgive me for being so naive. I really thought that boys could not be victimized. So that's why I wanted boys, thinking that they won't be victimized. Then when my sons were victimized, one of them was, I lost it. I really did. But the person, one of the persons that did this, my brother handled it. He handled it well. Um, and it was not him that did it. It was just somebody that was at his house whenever I let him stay over at their house. So he's one brother that I have not disowned. He is he stands against this type of thing. He's a positive role model to me. I will always love him. Treats children like they should be treated. He's a good father. Does anybody have any questions with anything that I said? Because the reason why I broke it down like this to say just the mother right now, because like I said, because of I have a stepmother too, and a lot of that people will say, well, I get confused between the mother and the stepmom. Which one? Which one? Yeah, none of this is really an excuse. Nothing's an excuse for abuse. Nothing's an excuse for anything that they done. There's no reason behind it. Children are a gift from God. We should cherish, treasure. Was there anything y'all would like to ask me? Some people have asked me, and I don't mind saying because I do have it. Um, in some of my other when I did interviews online, somebody says, "Was it your um, C area that you were cut?" No, it was outside of my vagina. Okay, um, all that's there on one side is just a little bit of scar tissue. It's completely cut off on one side. He used a knife on me, but they said, "Oh, I thought maybe that's what was done." I said, "No, that ain't what was done. I'm sorry. No. When you go to a doctor one of the first doctors that told me said 2/3, but it was a regular. It's not like a regular doctor. What is that? The nurse practitioner. A nurse practitioner seen me, and she said 2/3 had been cut off. But then when I went to the gynecologist last year, she said all that's there on one side is a little scar tissue tag. That's all that's there on one side of the labia majora. Said that, and when I was with an ex-boyfriend, he had told some coworkers about me being cut there, and he came back from work the next day and said, "You're really a man. You're really a man. That was so bad." And I asked him, I said, "How can I be a man when I burned two kids?" He was so stupid and naive. If Jeff Foxworthy signed, where's your sign? He said, "Well, I wasn't there to know whether or not you burned the kids if they came out of you or not." I said, "Well, I'm the mother. It's on the birth certificate." "Well, I wasn't there, so I don't know." I said, "Well, heck, I wasn't there when you fathered your kids and whether or not you're really a woman, even though you don't have those parts. I said, "I wasn't there." Oh, man. Oh, man. Please forgive me. I shouldn't have said nothing like that. But it does make you irate, and that did mess with the relationship because he was so stupid to even come back and demean me that way and say that I was really a guy because my daddy had got off, and like my sister said, because daddy had that book on how to have sex with kids. Y'all, if y'all see something or hear something, please say something. Don't keep quiet. I tell my story, and I do have a book out there at Amazon called Shattered Innocence. That's where it's got by Darley J. Clark. Thank you. It hurts a lot of times, to know, and people will not accept you for you, and it's something that you just can't help. It was something that was done to you. And it has basically destroyed a lot of your life. You can't grow some parts back. But y'all are free to share whatever y'all want to in my story, as far as it's keeping respect to me, because this is always so hard to share. Oh, and when we say we rise above it, and the reason why I say, "Dear Mother, I survived." Did y'all catch on? Y'all understand why I said, "Dear Mother, I survived"? Thank you. Y'all understand why I said that? Because remember when I said she got mad and she said she wished she would have killed me when I was a baby like she wanted? Guess what, dear mother? I survived. I'm here. I'm a fighter. I'm not going to give in to what you suggest. I was not here to prostitute myself. I was not here to show my naked body to men. I was here by God's divine grace, not by your wicked ways. So that's what helps me, y'all. I say, but thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. I know the truth. And the truth is that I was loved. I was not a mistake. And the many times, the countless times that my family's tried to kill me as a little bitty girl, I'm still alive, y'all. I'm still surviving. I'm still doing it. So many people have ostracized me and told me I would only be allowed to go to their church if I stop writing my books, if I stop the publication of my books, if I stop talking about this, then I'll be welcome back at their church. Because they said I am defiling God, but I'm talking about this. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mechanic Mama. Thank you so much. We all got special purposes on this earth. Was anybody else here? Were they, if you feel like saying anything, were y'all victimized or abused in any way, or are y'all an advocate, or what? I feel like sharing. Try to get this on here. I got to read you this joke too. After, yes, I believe so too. I believe we all been through some types of abuse. Yes, we do. Okay, I'm gonna do a little laughter thing now, so we can think of something funny. Okay. A senior citizen drove his brand new Corvette convertible out of the dealership. Taking off down the road, he floored at 80 miles per hour, enjoying the wind blowing through what little gray hair he had left. Amazing, he thought as he flew down I-94, pushing the pedal even more. Looking in his rearview mirror, he saw a state trooper behind him, lights flashing and siren blaring. He floored it to 100 miles per hour, then 110, then 120. Suddenly he thought, what am I doing? I'm too old for this. And he pulled over to wait for the trooper's arrival. Pulling in behind him, the trooper walked up to the Corvette, looked at his watch and said, Sir, our shift ends in 30 minutes. Today is Friday. If you could give me a reason for speeding that I've never heard before, I'll let you go. The old gentleman paused and he said, Years ago, my wife ran off with a state trooper. I thought you were bringing her back. The officer said, Have a good day, sir. 5 years now. Thank God. Thank God. Thank you, Merle. Been here for support too. I laugh and I think about that and I said, Yes, thank you. Don't bring my ex husband back to me either, neither. That would you use that as an excuse, please? Thank our wonderful Lord. That is great. Praise God. Oh man. You got me laughing here too, said the Smileys. Yes, you may. Yes, you may share. A couple of days ago, I shared a story before the Sparky Lee one about a story about a father that had killed shot his son. And then I told the stories of when my father shot at me back when I was a kid and stuff. So from my books. So I'm trying to bring more awareness about, and trying to share the different stories and saying how these little stories impacts each of us in some way or another. The more the merrier that comes in and supports, and we get the talking, and we get this out there. These type of things should never have happened. And every time I look into, if y'all could see, uh, did y'all see when y'all would look at the picture of this actual video, not the one right now, but like when you look at YouTube and you see the actual picture, that's me when I was about 9 years old, okay? And still, whenever I look into those eyes and stuff, and then I think of Summer Wells and stuff, I see a lot of our pain. I see the shared pain. Y'all know what I'm talking about? You empathize and you sympathize and you're like, my, what happened to this child? But she's got a lot of the same type of pains. Some of the I see that pain and hurt in her eyes. But it does not mean I'm not saying she was necessarily messed with that way. I'm just saying, but I could see the pain of some sort of bad stuff going on in her life. I could see that in those pictures. And it really tears to my heartstrings. I want to thank you all for coming. And if y'all ever want to hit me up, I am at Facebook under this same name as well. And if y'all ever just want to reach out, to write to me here, or maybe I'll see you in one of the other groups later on. Because I am in Lot Lip No More's group as well. I am so glad I ran across it that day when Liplock was talking about that one lady that was bashing. I won't call her a lady. The one abusive. Uh, I think her name was PG. That was bashing. Hey, Joy, it talks too fast. And then that's when I knew I had me someone that I wanted to make friends with and start following on YouTube. When I realized that she's a survivor as well, that we're all here for one another, to help one another, to get the message out. And we hope we do this in the right way. And y'all, let's just pray for our kids, pray for our world. And with all this, I want to thank you all. And y'all have a great day. God bless.